What's going on, guys? Awesome dude here. Today is Thursday, and I've decided to do like a Throwback Thursday thing where I do a basically tell you guys a story. Anyway, so today's story is going to be about my first buck. I killed a buck last year while I was hunting. It was in October of 2015, so I thought I'd share that with you guys today. Anyway. These are the antlers here after they've been put on a plaque. Here he's a nice little 3-point, pretty good for a first. Anyway, but the morning we had was pretty nice. It was nice and cool, and we had just gotten up to the mountain and everything. I'm not going to tell you guys where that is because it is a secret spot. I'll tell you the town that we were in, but I will not tell you exactly where we are. We were in Atlanta, Idaho, and very, very beautiful up there. It's pretty good deer country and everything, but I cannot tell you exactly where I was because those are secret family hunting grounds. So anyway, so we were up there on the mountain. Let's call it X, I guess. We'll call it X. So we were up on X, and I had a hunting partner, Wayne. He's one of my dad's friends. Me, my dad, my brother, him, and my grandpa were all up on X on this day. It was the 14th or 15th of October. And so Wayne and we got off of his four-wheeler and start to take a little hike. He starts glassing with his binoculars, and he sees, about 200-300 yards in the distance there, he sees, a decent buck. Like, we don't know if this was still the buck or if that buck still lives, but this is the one that we got, well, that I got. Yeah. Anyway, so we start chasing off after that buck. He's on a little ridge, and so we start chasing after him. He takes one side of the ridge, I take the other, and we meet down where the ridge ends. There's a little game trail at the bottom, and so we meet down at the bottom. So I start following him. He sits down like he's gonna take a little break or something, and he starts glassing with his scope on his rifle. But anyway, so me carrying my rifle, I am he says to look downhill, so I look downhill. Guess what I see? Okay, I see this guy here living. All right, so he's about 60 yards down the hill, and so I raise my rifle up. I put it up to my shoulder, and I shoot. Shooting downhill, you shoot a little high. I was aiming for his shoulder, and I ended up not hitting his shoulder. Instead, I hit him right where the spine goes into his neck. That's basically right where the back strap ends, which is like the best part of the whole animal. But anyway, so that day I filled my tag, and this is kind of the part where I start to get a little bit jealous, because because then the next day, my brother gets a buck, and my lord, my dad was up on another place, a little bit tougher to hike, a little bit harder to get into. It's really rough to get into, and we'll call this spot Y. So my brother and my dad were up on Y, and he comes home. We had our friends down there too. We had Max, Bud, and Brad with us, and Brad brought a six-wheeler. My dad got a buck that day, and my brother My brother also got a buck that day. Now, my brother's horns are a completely different story. Like, mine are pretty normal for, genetics wise, but my brother's horns are very, very tall, but they're only 15 and a half inches across, I think. 15 or 15 and a half. But anyway, this buck last year, let's say 2014, he probably would have been 30 plus inches wide and, normal tall, normal height on his horns. But this year he had goofy horns and stuff, and so yeah. So he was very, very tall, but not very wide at all. And so my brother comes home, comes to the house with this buck, and I'm like, okay. And, I start to get jealous because, this is his first year hunting, and he's got a permit. He hasn't taken hunter's ed yet, and I'm like, really? And he's like, ha, 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 I got a bigger buck than you, and I'm like, I am not happy. So we start to hang him up and everything, and, I congratulate him because, this is his first buck. This was my second year hunting, and I didn't get one in 2014. And he comes in 2015 hunting for his first time, actually hunting, and he gets a buck. Well, granted, he did go up where it's harder to hike and the big bucks live, but, that falls under the category of happens, But, I mean, my buck, he's nice, but I think this year for 2016, I am going to go up on Y where he went, and I'm going to try to get a buck myself. A buck like that. I'll have to go grab his horns here in just a minute and show him, but it's ridiculous. I mean, he got, a huge, huge buck for his first year, and me, this is nothing, basically, compared to him. I mean, this is great for a first buck and everything, but I could have done better. I could have done better, because in 2014, I almost shot a doe up on Y, because it was an old dry doe, but I almost shot it, but I decided not to because I wanted a buck that year. Now, granted, I was on my permit that year. I had taken hunter's ed, but I wasn't able to get my regular hunting license yet. So, I was on a permit that year, and I almost shot a doe up on what we call the Mine Hill, and I missed. I was shooting a 243 that year instead of a 30-06, and buck fever started to kick in. It's where your adrenaline gets in, you start shaking, and yada, yada, yada. And, I have it was a little hinge action youth 243. And I started, I shot it, I couldn't get the other shell out, and I was trying to reach into my vest and grab another one and put it in. I thought about saying, hey, Dad, because I was with my dad that day, give me your 06. But I didn't say anything because they don't make that model of an 06 that he has anymore. So I didn't say anything, but I should have. I regret it. But, yeah. I could have gotten something that year, but I didn't. Anyway, long story short, 2015, 3-point. It was freaking awesome. This doesn't count as a point, otherwise he'd be a 4-point because it's not an inch long. It has to be at least an inch long in the state of Idaho to be considered a point. So, yeah. Anyway, this year, though, I'm going to go in some of the same spots I did in 2015. And, yeah, and hopefully I can show you guys around the house a little bit. I mean, I don't know if I'll remember to bring my camera, but I might. So, anyway, guys, that was just a Throwback Thursday, the first Throwback Thursday. I'll put another video up because I didn't put 2 videos up yesterday. So, anyway, guys, this was a Throwback Thursday, and I will see you guys next time.